After going through the last video, you should have a full picture of PhoneGap and PhoneGap applications. Now we're going to install PhoneGap and start using it. This section will state where to download PhoneGap, how to create a PhoneGap project, the PhoneGap project structure, and the commands. PhoneGap is installed through npm, which is a Node.js package manager. This means that we need to install Node.js and npm first. We will introduce Node.js and npm soon in the upcoming videos. For now, we keep it simple. To install Node.js and npm, open your browser, go to nodejs.org, and then click the Install button. The installation procedure is very straightforward and will install both Node.js and npm. After Node.js has been installed, open a terminal and run the command node-v. If Node.js has been installed successfully, you will see the version of your Node.js package. PhoneGap requires Node.js with a version higher than 0.9.9. Then we need to install PhoneGap or Cordova. You can find detailed installation documentation at phonegap.com/install. In the terminal, run the command sudo npm install-g Cordova. This will install the latest PhoneGap distribution on your machine. Once the installation is finished, we need to check if our system meets the minimum requirement for different mobile platforms. For example, Xcode for iOS, Android SDK for Android, and so on. You can find the steps to set up your environment on the PhoneGap platform guide page. The next video will cover it for iOS and Android. Now we are going to create a PhoneGap project. Open a terminal, create a project folder, and go into the folder. The command Cordova create will take three parameters: your project folder path, your project package name, and your application name. The folder path is the location of the folder we created, which is the current folder. The package name is assumed to be com.helloworld, and the application name is Hello World. Now you have created a PhoneGap project and it's ready to be deployed on mobile platforms. I will show you how to deploy it to iOS and Android later. We will develop a Hello World app on the iOS platform first to give a demonstration of PhoneGap app development. We will need the following to go through the demo: a Mac running macOS 10.7 or above, Xcode with version 4.5 or above, and the Xcode command line tool. Basically, if you've gone through the platform guide of PhoneGap for iOS and followed it, you're ready to go. Before we go diving into any exciting app development, let's take a look at the project folder generated by PhoneGap. The www folder is where our HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and other web page related assets files are located for the app. We will spend most of our development time in that folder. The platforms folder is where our native application is generated and stored by PhoneGap per platform. It's empty, and we will add iOS and Android soon. The merges folder is where we specify the assets that are to be deployed on specific platforms. Each platform-specific subdirectory within the merges folder mirrors the directory structure of the www source tree. Whilst the app is compiled, the assets in the www folder will be copied to the native application and replace the existing one copied from the www folder in the top-level folder. The plugins folder is where the PhoneGap plugins used for this project are stored. The added plugins will be automatically compiled to the native application per platform. Now we can create an iOS project. We must first navigate to our PhoneGap folder. Open the terminal app and change the directory to your PhoneGap folder /lib/ios/bin. In this folder, you will be able to see a file called create, which will be used to initialize your iOS projects. It will take three parameters. The first parameter indicates the path to your PhoneGap iOS project. The second parameter is your package name, and the third parameter is the project name. Here, we create a Hello World project. The PhoneGap platform has a series of commands that help our development. In the terminal, type Cordova --help, and you will see a list of commands. Here are some useful commands. The Cordova create command, which we've used before, creates the basic structure of a project. The Cordova platform add remove commands are used for adding or removing mobile platforms. The Cordova plugin add remove commands are used to add or remove a PhoneGap plugin. The Cordova prepare command. This copies web files and plugins to native applications. The Cordova build, emulate, and run commands build and run applications on a device or simulator. the Cordova serve command. This creates a web server on the www folder for the purposes of development. We will use these commands in the upcoming videos. In this video, we installed PhoneGap and created our first PhoneGap application. Then, we introduced the structure of a PhoneGap project and basic PhoneGap commands. You should be able to create your PhoneGap application now. In the next video, we will develop our Hello World application and run it on the iOS and Android. In the previous video, we installed PhoneGap and created our first Hello World application. You now probably have a rough idea of the structure of a PhoneGap application. In this video, we're going to write some code to build the application and deploy it to the iOS and Android platform. The PhoneGap platform contains a built-in web server that's very helpful for development. To use the web server, we first need to add a platform. Go to the Hello World project folder we created in the last video and type in the command Cordova platform add iOS. This requires the basic system requirement for using the iOS platform. If you get a failure here, you need to take a look at the PhoneGap platform guide page again, which was introduced in the last video. Once the platform has been added, we can use the Cordova serve command to create a web server. Type in Cordova serve iOS. It will give you a URL where you can see your app. Open the URL in a browser and you will see the default PhoneGap app. Most of our development and debugging will be done with the help of this web server. Coding PhoneGap applications is the same as coding web pages. You need to prepare a code editor and a browser and you're ready to go. Go into the www folder of the project. It contains the default PhoneGap app file. We need to keep the config.xml file in the folder as it's used by the PhoneGap platform. Remove other files so that we have a clear workspace. There are now certain steps we need to perform. Use your code editor to open the empty www folder, which is our workspace. First, we create an index.html file. This will be used as the entry file for the app. In this file, add the doc type that tells which version of HTML we're using. Generally, we use the HTML5 doc type. Complete the basic HTML structure by adding basic HTML tags. You'll need some basic HTML knowledge to achieve this. For all PhoneGap apps, always remember to include the Cordova JavaScript file. We need to link it to the index.html file so that we can use the PhoneGap APIs. Now write some simple HTML code. We add an h1 tag that outputs Hello PhoneGap and a button which outputs Click Me with an ID attribute. We have started the web server previously, so we just need to refresh the page in the browser to see the new content. As in a web page, we could add some CSS to make our app more pretty. You could either use an embedded style tag or link CSS files to the HTML files. Here, we create an index.css file and link it to the index.html file and add some CSS to the elements. We will add some colors, backgrounds, and shadows to the page elements and change some properties like width, height, and font size. You need to have basic knowledge of CSS to understand these. We will explain CSS3 in upcoming videos. This is what it looks like with the CSS that we just added. JavaScript is at the core of the PhoneGap app. It builds business logic, manipulates the UI, interacts with users, exchanges data, and so on. We will talk about JavaScript specifically in upcoming videos. Here, we simply add some user interaction code to our button and embed the script in index.html. The first line added an event listener to the device ready event, which will be triggered by the PhoneGap platform when PhoneGap APIs are ready to use. Then, the script added an onClick listener to the Hello button. Its onClick callback function pops an alert. Let's see how it works in the browser. So far, we've finished developing our Hello World app. Now we'll deploy it on a mobile platform. Let's deploy it on the iOS platform first. We need to check if our system has met the minimum requirements of the iOS platform. It requires a Mac running macOS 10.7 or above, and you can find that in your About Your Mac menu, Xcode with version 4.5 or above. You can find that in the About Xcode menu. The Xcode command line tool. You can find that in the Xcode Preference menu. These details are included in the PhoneGap Platform Guide page. We need to add iOS platform support by running the Cordova platform add iOS command. You can skip this if you've already added it previously. Then we need to run the Cordova prepare command, which copies files in the www folder to the iOS native application. Here we have two options to build and deploy the app. The first is to use the PhoneGap command introduced in the last video, and the other is to use Xcode. To keep it simple for future courses, we use Xcode. Go to the Platforms folder and then the iOS folder. Open the Xcode project file. Xcode will open the project, and we will deploy it in a simulator. Choose a version of iOS and start the app in a simulator. You can see that the app acts the same as we saw in the browser. Deployment on the Android platform is similar. First, we need to check if our system meets the basic requirements. Unlike developing an iOS project, which requires developers to have a Mac, Android projects can be developed on Mac OS, Windows, or Linux. You can download the Android Developer Tools bundle from the Android Developer website, which contains everything you need. Or, if you already have Eclipse installed, you can manually download Android SDK and install the Eclipse ADT plugin separately. The steps just discussed have also been covered in the PhoneGap Platform Guide page. After the Android SDK has been installed, we're going to add Android platform support to our Hello World project. In the project folder, run the Cordova platform add Android command. It could take a while to initialize your native Android application. Then run the Cordova prepare command to stage our web code to native mobile platforms. Just as for the iOS platform, PhoneGap commands allow you to build and deploy your Android app. We use the Eclipse ADT plugin instead for future plans. Open Eclipse with the ADT plugin and click on the File menu and then on Import. Insert the existing Android code into the workspace. Locate the Android folder under the Platforms folder in our Hello World project. Then after importing, if you see a red cross sign at your project icon, it means the project has not been assigned to the correct version of Android SDK. Generally, you need to fix it manually by performing the following steps. First, right-click on the project folder. In the Properties dialog box which is displayed, select Android from the navigation panel. For the project build target, select the highest Android API level that you have installed. Click OK, and then from the project menu bar, select Clean. This should fix the library issue in the project. Now we can build the project and deploy it to the emulator. Before running the Android project on the emulator, we first have to create one. Click on the Android Virtual Device Manager button to set up an emulator. Give it a name and choose a template device. The API level should match that of our project, which, in this case, is using Android 4.0. Keep the rest default. Let's start the emulator. Let's get our app running. Right-click on the project icon and run as an Android application, and choose the running simulator. It should behave the same way as we saw previously. In this video, we've learned how to code our application and how to deploy it on mobile platforms. You should be able to build and deploy your own iOS and Android app now. So far, we've introduced how to use the PhoneGap platform. In the next video onwards, we're going to go into the details of hybrid app development. In the next chapter, we will learn about the essential development tools.